I'm going to talk about one thing and one thing only today, and that topic is going to be probably one of America's worst long-term policies that we've dreamt up. Uh, the drug war goes back 100 years now. Started with Henry Anslinger, a totally racist zealot who literally thought that drug lords should be shot on sight. Are you willing to do that, tough guy? I'm going to call you right out, right to your face. Are you willing to do that? Okay. It's funny how people on the sidelines want to order soldiers to go commit war crimes so they feel better about themselves. You're literally just going to mow down all the drug dealers and all the drug users? You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous. Amateur hour here. Why don't you go find another podcast to listen to? So instead of shooting all the drug dealers, what probably I'm sure Spicy is probably a red hat moron, given the tone he's taken already. We're not shooting all the drug dealers. We're giving them protection. Trump has imported drug dealers. Okay, cartel members are being imported to America under Dear Leader Portstar Humper. Okay, he just pardoned Jose Hernandez, one of the biggest narco state terrorists in the whole history of the drug war. He is now going to pardon a guy who shipped in 400 tons of coke into the United States, and he's getting the red carpet treatment by this administration. Okay, so if you think the drug war, amateur hour over there, you think the drug war isn't just a political shit show with no meaning, no win, no out, man, this country is lost. We're literally going to redo. Trump hasn't imported anyone. He imported in over 20 cartel members and then burned the sources in the DEA. Okay, that's what he did. Now he is pardoning Jose Hernandez, who shipped into the United States alone, never mind worldwide trafficking this guy was responsible for, 400 tons, not ounces, not pounds. Okay? Okay. You're gone. Fuck you, asshole. Okay. I'm done with you. You just got permanently blocked. Name him! Read Newsweek, asshole. Okay? Mark Slackler and Purdue Pharmaceutical. We had to go all the way through the court system twice to hold a trust fund brat responsible for dealing opioids at the street level in America, killing 100,000 U.S. citizens a year for a few years. Okay? So if you think the drug war is something, yeah, tonight I'm pissed. I am genuinely pissed over this pardon to Jose Hernandez. Could not be more pissed off. Okay? You send us into harm's way, then you play fucking patty cakes with the guys you sent us out to go deal with. This is absurd. This is ridiculous. Okay? We got 100 years of this with no wins. Okay? Because the alcohol prohibition, the Temperance League, Henry Anslinger, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, now Donald J. Trump. Okay? Remember Iran-Contra, where we dealt drugs because we thought it was politically convenient? What, is Oliver North working for Trump now? the level of this absurdity. When Jose Hernandez was taken to federal court, in his sentencing hearing, he was declared by U.S. prosecutors a narco state leader and a narco state terrorist. He's now in league with the administration of dear leader porn star Humper. The administration of hiding the Epstein files is in bed with international drug dealers. And it's not even his first international drug dealer he got in bed with. Remember all the libertarian chick had to do from the Libertarian Party is walk up to Trump at Mar-a-Lago and shake her tits? Boom! We're going to pardon the Silk Road guy. Even with murders for hire on his record, we're going to give him a full, unquestioned, full escape of the charges, full pardon. Okay? If you're going to pardon the goddamn drug lords, then don't make us go after them, you fucking morons. I don't think that's too hard of a calculus to figure out. Unless you're this idiot who jumped in. Okay? Hernandez used to be the Honduran president from 2014 to 2022, and he was long accused of using his presidency and his security forces and his militaries as a drug cartel. You don't get any more drug cartel-y than dealing with Juan Orlando Hernandez. He's the Pablo Escobar now. Okay? And I had friends. My friend, the colonel in the Green Berets, was literally standing on the street in Colombia when the Colombian military police chased him out of his girlfriend's condo, chased him onto the roof, and gave him the night-night pills. Yeah. He was standing on the street when the gunfire erupted and they killed him. Okay? You literally sent a fucking army in Colombia undercover to go deal with cocaine. Now you're pardoning the cocaine drug lords, literally the top tier of drug lords on earth are seemingly all on Trump's pardon list. So what fucking good is the goddamn drug war? You allowed opioids to be dealt on the street to kill young men in mass. Okay, yes, the majority of the people hooked on opioids were men. And a lot of them were young men. Their entire lives destroyed. If not, they didn't OD and die on the fucking pills. But you wouldn't hold Purdue Pharmaceutical accountable for years. And now you're like, oh, we'll find you a little money. Oh, it's okay. We won't touch your trust fund that much. Okay, not only was Purdue and the Slacker family street dealing opioids, they were investing in rehabs of opioid addiction to make more money. And that's in his fucking emails. And oh, yeah, idiot there at the beginning of this. Oh, man, we should just shoot them all. Then why didn't you, tough guy, go shoot Mark Slackler? Huh, tough guy? Who's never done anything in his life? Who's bitching at me from his mama's basement? I fought the drug war on 2 continents. Army police, Green Berets, DEA, FBI. That's my crowd I worked with. Some know-nothing morons going to jump on this and tell me to kill them all? But you wouldn't even address criminally Mark Slackler and Purdue Pharmaceutical? Fuck you. We pardoned the Silk Road guy. We're in bed now with the cartels because the cartels, in dear leader's mind, is better than the sitting president of Mexico, Sheinbaum. So we're in bed with the Mexicans, we're in the cartels, we're in bed with the Americans who dealt drugs with the cartels. Now we're in bed with Hernandez from Honduras, who is the leading trafficker of the goddamn product. Al, you say you don't want drugs being imported in the country. Then why did you cut off the Colombian government, just 3-4 weeks ago? Completely cut them off. They have no assistance now. No training funds, no eradication funds, no interception funds. So when you throw a pissy fit, like that's all he's capable of doing is throwing little childish fits. Oh, you're responsible for everything. Yeah. He can't just pass a policy. He's got to shit on the leaders of Colombia, just like he shitted on Germany. He shit on Britain. He shit on Canada. Shit on Mexico. Okay. Well, guess what? After you take away the drug enforcement money and the national support money in Colombia, and then you shit on their leadership, guess what's going to happen in America? More cocaine delivered, you fucking morons. Drooling fucking idiots. This policy is for drooling fucking idiots only. Guy ships in 400 tons, not ounces, not grams, not pounds, tons. It's like when Walter White, Heisenberg, and Breaking Bad went to see Saul. So, how much stock do you guys have? I don't know, 38 and a half. Okay, 38 grams, 38 ounces. No, 38 pounds. Okay. The reason Trump gave him a pardon, he's murdering fishermen in the Atlantic because he assumes just assumes, he has no proof, they're shipping drugs on fishing boats. Kill them all and kill the survivors. Trump pardoned Hernandez because, quote, he was treated very harshly and unfairly. Shoot him all! Duh, duh, duh. He's not shooting them all, you touch hole. He's giving them pardons in a condo in Florida. Because that's what street gangs do. They get in the league with other criminals to keep their shit going. This is what I've been telling you since the first administration. With this clown and his goddamn Nazi circus. This is a street gang. A street gang of complete fucking corrupt morons. Why is he giving Hernandez a pardon? So Hernandez can get his ally into the presidency, because unless, according to Dear Leader Pornstar Humper, unless we have a narco terrorist running the state in Central America, we're going to end up with communism in Central America. Now, I don't like the commies. I was actually, like I told you the other day, I was actually in East Germany. Okay? These feet have actually walked on communist soil. The DDR, the Cold War, the Iron Curtain, all that shit. Been there, done that. Saw it with my own two goddamn eyes. I'm not big on communism at all. But if you think a narco terrorist is fucking better, who took a country hostage and pilfered the country and stuffed all the criminal proceeds in his pocket, you think that's better? You're an idiot. You are such a sycophant and a moron, I can't help you. Hell, if Jesus was real, he couldn't help you. You're that stupid. And this is all about trying to flip an election in Honduras to get an extreme far-right candidate in control. Just like he likes the far-right winger in Nicaragua, he wants the mirror set between Nicaragua and Honduras. He's looking for far-right nationalists to take control of the countries all over the world. Even when those far-right actors are drug trafficking kingpins. State terrorists like Putin. Putin is a goddamn war criminal with a fucking arrest warrant out for himself. That's Dear Leader's best friend right now. Him and the dickhead in Nicaragua. Can't wait till that guy gets indicted. Nobody likes this other than the red hat rubes and the drooling idiots. Okay. Everybody who's on the right side of the equation in this hemisphere knows this deal sucks. It's corrupt before you even start. Okay. I even went through and it's hard to track. I even went through the ledger and tried to track who bought $Trump and $Millennia, the meme coins recently. There's so much bullshit going on with those, it's hard to tell. And there was no like bubble money put in. There wasn't suddenly boom, it blew up and you had an extra $1 billion in there. Yeah, because the volume in the last 24 hours, when I checked when this announcement came up, he was going to pardon another drug lord. Another. Remember that part. Another drug lord. That's what's pissing me off here. And I can't even hide how pissed I am. You should have seen me when I found out about this news. I was literally stomping my feet and ranting around the house. Me and my colleagues go into harm's way because you told these were the worst people on earth. So we volunteered to go up against them. Now you're palling with them? Now they're your political allies? Fuck you. Hernandez crowd is just like the cartels. These are the guys that, chop up people. These are the people who torture people for fun, like Kiki back in the day. We can't keep doing this. This policy makes no fucking sense. Okay, we're going to have a drug war, and every young black and brown man or Native American is going to end up in prison for literal dime bags, little 2 chunks of rock, or a little grain of powder in a Ziploc bag. But you're literally going to not only pardon, but turn into a political ally a guy who shipped in 400 tons of cocaine. Do you have any idea how bad this policy is? How much of a failure this policy is? How stupid this policy is? They're going to let this kingpin walk away from charges, but they're going to stop an average working man on the highway in Ohio, Tennessee, Alabama. And if you have more than a couple of dollars on you in the car, they're going to accuse you of being a drug trafficker and take your money without any further evidence. It's called asset seizure. Cash is illegal because drug dealing occurs in the world. But it's not too illegal when you're the Silk Road guy. It's not that illegal when you're Jose Hernandez. He's trying to manipulate the judiciary in Brazil. He's manipulating elections in Honduras. And I know this isn't any new. I know the CIA's history very well, especially down in South America. Yeah, I know. Okay. But that was there in the 60s. Okay. This is here now in the 2020s. Okay. The war is on our fucking doorstep. Okay. You can be shot dead for not following verbal commands because you could be a drug trafficker. If you're an insurrectionist, that's cool. Free pass. If you're a drug lord, free pass. Okay. Absolute fucking free passes for the kingpins of the drug industry because they're politically connected to the politicians, including dear leader porn star Humper, the unfortunate current president of the United States of America. Tim Kaine called it in a published statement a disgusting and incomprehensible decision. Well, you could say that, and you could say a hell of a lot more. Okay. What he's doing is furthering his connections from his street gang to other criminal organizations around the world. Why do we tolerate this? The drug war gets dropped on our heads with a 3,000-pound anvil like we're Wildy fucking Coyote. Okay? You take out money wrong out of the bank, you could be charged with structuring a financial crime related to money laundering and drug dealing. But Hernandez and the Silk Road guy get an absolute free pass. The cartel members get to flip, and we'll buy him a house in Oklahoma. What the fuck did I ever get involved in this shit for? You know, and I got really down when he got reelected. Like, I was sad because I'm like, if we're going to have this clown running a goddamn gang, running a street gang out of the White House, okay, what the fuck did I waste the first 14 years of my adult life for? Okay, I joined the Army when I was still 17. Okay, by the time I was 20, I was going undercover for the Army in West Germany and in America, going against some people who are pretty bad people, pretty dangerous people. I wrote whole essays about this. Like, think tanks are losing their mind over this. They're like, I forget the one, the American Institute. I think it was that one. They look at the hemisphere and policies and stuff, and it was like that. It's not that this doesn't make any sense. This is just insane. We've left. This doesn't make any sense, or this doesn't add up. This is just pure insane corruption beyond a point I ever thought possible post Iran Contra. Now we're doing shit that make Iran Contra look simple, make it look like a goddamn DUI accident. You have no banking privacy because of the drug war. We're pardoning the kingpins who run and profit from the drug war. Oh, and I think it was the Silk Road guy mocking people online. Oh, now I'm going to go out and buy guns because I got a full pardon. Oh, let's give them a pardon. Let's erase their records so they can go out and rearm themselves. Because half these guys, when they get caught with drug trafficking and money laundering and everything else, they got a shitload of illegal guns they get charged with too, including felons in possession. You know, there was an Army undercover investigator. I'll just refer to him as Bill. He ended up being in the leadership of CID at the end of his career. At the time, he was a level 1 in West Germany, deep undercover. And one night, somebody knocked on the safe house door in Frankfurt, and it was a Turkish dude standing there in an impeccably nice suit, like Savile Row stuff. Okay. He goes, hey, don't mean you any harm. I just want to make a deal. I want to parlay. So the guy is standing at the door, picks up the briefcase, opens up the briefcase. There's $1 million in platinum, gold, and diamonds in the briefcase. Bill turned it down. Then he got on the safe house phone and said the code word that he was in trouble. And next thing you know, a small army of American police and Polizei came to get him to safety and get him to Rhein-Main Airport and out of the country as fast as we could. Okay. I've known guys who have gotten shot in search warrants in drug raids. I know cops who committed suicide. I have too much of a survival instinct. My survival instinct is an 11.5 on a 10 scale. Like, don't get in my fucking way. Tomorrow's another day. And I know guys that couldn't do it. They didn't make it. The fact you tell us to go, you won't turn it into a legal business, even though legal opioids caused the most damage in recent history. Okay, so you send us in, you keep the black market running at any cost, and you expect us to go then fucking deal with it. For what? Why? So you can take the biggest suspects and make them your political ally? This is exactly what we accused Mexico and other countries of. Getting in bed with the drug traffickers, with the drug kingpins. This is exactly what we accused people of. This is exactly what we accused people in Colombia of when we were chasing fucking Pablo Escobar around. Or my colleagues were. I wasn't there. I was on another continent when that was going on. Yeah, I saw the Kodachrome slideshows, though. I saw the home movies. They were blowing shit up. I mean, C4 down tubes. Run, because all the chemicals in the lab are going to detonate too. So start running. We've got a minute and a half. Okay. You got in our way. You got in the Colombian military police, the Green Berets, or the DEA's way in a search warrant in Colombia. You got shot. You got dropped. Okay. Now you're pardoning today's Pablo Escobar. And none of this works. If any of it works, I'd be honest with you and tell you it worked. I told you before, I only go off the data. Okay? We were in Afghanistan during the Afghan war, and we decided to mission an entire division of Marines to go after the poppies. Complete failure. Depending on who you read, we burned up anywhere from 500 million to $1.5 billion, depending on whose number you want to believe. But yeah, we militarily tasked an operation against a bunch of poppy plants and lost. Same way, the Australian Army went after the emus twice and lost twice. Yeah, same thing. Same thing. And then we're out there, we're in harm's way, we're going through tough times physically, mentally, trying to deal with these creeps on the streets, this nightmare black market that you've created over a century. And then we have to come back to home to our families and be normal people. You know how fucking hard that is? It's like that show Americans. I think one of the realest thing was like the first couple of episodes where the FBI agent character tells his wife that the reason I don't ever talk about work or my undercover work is because I don't want you to know how dark the dark side is. Because yeah, at times it's that bad. Okay. But now the very top echelons of our government and our political system are literally in league with the drug dealers, the drug traffickers. You're going to suck up to one guy who we know was trafficking drugs. And we're going to murder people on fishing boats because we suspect they're drug dealers. No due process, no arrest, no defense attorney. We're just going to kill you at sea. And this story that popped up today, kill them all. I guess that's where the idiot got it in the beginning of the my live session here. Kill them all. Then you're murderers. Then you're just another fucking gang, asshole. War without duty and legality is just murder. Okay, yeah, we could have gone down in the operations wherever I worked, grabbed our M16A2s, turned them onto rock and roll or 3-round bursts, and fucked anybody up we wanted. Okay, but that would have just made us another street gang. And not only do you, and this is the other thing that's bugged me for many years. Not only are we getting into bed with these motherfuckers, you've been selling guns to them for fucking 40 years. I've been on search warrants, brand new guns out of gun shops. Known felon bought it. That's why we brought the ATF with us. Like on the bigger raids where we had a lot of people and a lot of interacting elements in the investigation, we'd bring everybody. Like it could be like DEA, CID, FBI, U.S. Marshals, IRS, ATF, county sheriff, and we're all armed to the motherfucking teeth. Like DEA always carried suppressed MP5s. We told them they had to take the silencers off and put the suppressors on. You're not firing a silenced weapon. I have to be able to hear that you're shooting. I understand the sound of a suppressed weapon. I've fired them myself. Ours weren't suppressed. Ours were high velocity 223s. So, you put us in harm's way. You tell us to go out and do this mission. You tell us it's all bad. Drugs are bad. Okay. Like Mr. Garrison on South Park. Drugs are bad. Okay. Well, if they're so bad, why don't you do something about Slackler? If they're so fucking bad, why don't you do something about Hernandez? No, you get them a free pass instead. And this is how dangerous the drug war is. And this is something that happens all over the country, but it was extraordinarily bad here. In my county, they were not processing a single rape evidence collection kit. Not a one. They refused to spend any money and any time investigating rape kits at the lab. Why? Because we had dime bags to test instead. So we literally let rapists walk the streets so we can test dime bags and give pardons to the kingpins. Does any of this make fucking sense to you? Because it definitely doesn't make sense to me. It makes so little upset. I'm genuinely upset. I am mad today. Like the way I reacted today kind of reminded me of one of my friends in my bigger circle of friends in the city. He's a former infantryman. He did Fallujah 1 and Fallujah 2 both. And we're at a big cookout party. He was doing the barbecue, and he's like crazy. He like does all these like custom meats, and everything's got to have some duck fat or some other cool thing, mixed in before it goes on the barbecue. He's all into it. And so while he's cooking, I'm just standing by, chatting away. And he was like, yeah, I didn't have a problem with going in the first time to Fallujah. You told us to take a target. We're infantry. We take targets. That's what we do. Okay, no problem. And then his face changed. And he goes, but then you made me fucking do it twice. Don't ever make me do it twice. Okay? And I understand. I understand how pissed that guy is. Okay? Mainly because he lost more than a few friends. And saw a couple of more friends get maimed pretty bad. Okay? So yeah, so for him being an infantryman, Fallujah was bad. Yep, had to go do that shit twice. Well, if your war was the goddamn drug war, what are we about to do it for the 300th time? The 3 millionth time? Whatever? You tell us that this is the mission of missions. This is what's going to save America. Then you refuse to deal with Schlackler. You pardon the Silk Road guy. You pardon Jose Hernandez, a literal narco state fucking terrorist. I said, and in any reasonable mind, I will continue to say that, the whole defund the police or unfund the military, that won't work. But if we're going to go down this authoritarian corruption road like we're doing right now, and then suddenly somebody, and at this point, who knows it's going to be? It could be Rand Paul on the right. It could be AOC on the left. Someone's going to call for massive budget cuts to the police and the military because it seems that you can't find a legitimate enemy or a legitimate criminal. And when we do find a legitimate criminal, the politicians let them go. Hernandez was on a 45-year prison sentence for 400 tons of cocaine trafficking and gun smuggling. Let him go. He was unfairly treated. What about the black kid's life in Oakland? You just fucking ruined over a dime bag. That doesn't matter, right? It's just a black kid. His life is disposable. The young white redneck on opioid pills dying in his fucking bathroom. No problem there. He's not a rich white guy. He's just some poor redneck kid, works at the Piggly Wiggly or works at the auto shop or I cannot think of a policy. Even Iraq was better than the goddamn drug war. That's how corrupt, stupid, and stupid on repeat the drug war is. And I'm not talking out of school. Okay, this guy I blocked out so he would shut up if you see listening. I did this shit on 2 continents. Okay, I was a cop for 14 fucking years. Okay, I've been up against people that make politicians whine and cry. Then you're going to turn around, those people you've been complaining about for a decade, and you're going to turn around and give them a complete pardon and then give them a pat on the back and buy them a condo in Florida? This is why I told you before the election. You're going to be governed by a criminal organization functioning as a street gang. Guess what fucking happened? You disassemble the whole goddamn security apparatus, the background checks of the FBI and the marshals and everything else, and then you wonder why some guy that you vetted fucks up and grabs a gun and shoots 2 guardsmen. That all comes as a surprise for you. I don't know, because instead of keeping an eye on that asshole, you were walking around the city park harassing residents of D.C. Instead of dealing with Jose Hernandez, drug kingpin, we're pulling over working class stiffs on the highway and taking their money from them and taking their property, and sometimes even seizing their vehicles without any evidence of drugs whatsoever. All they have to say is, we think you're drug trafficking. Ali Ali action free. We get to do anything we want. Take your money, take your car, leave you by the side of the road. No problem. They did the Kansas 2-step, where they searched every single car with Colorado or another legal cannabis state's license plates. Why? Kansas law was now law of the world. And they started searching, arresting, and detaining people because drugs are bad, okay? But we're going to let Slackler go, we're going to let Hernandez go, and we're going to defund Colombia. You know what happens? I already said this. I know. I'll repeat it. You defund Colombia, you get more cocaine. Every fucking president since fucking Reagan understood that. You know, the guy Hernandez was convicted by a federal jury. They saw the evidence. Okay? Pardons are for people who are supposed to be rehabilitated or they had some unjust process levied against them. How's this being an international drug and gun smuggler qualified as unjust treatment? Anybody? Bueller? Anyone? This is fucking horseshit. All because he wants a corrupt right winger. Because he's a corrupt right winger, he needs an ally in Hernandez to do dirty shit. Seriously, this makes Iran Contra look simple and look like a misdemeanor in comparison. And Iran Contra was dirty as fuck. Like, how the hell Oliver North did not go to prison for 50 years, I have no idea. Oh, that's right. He's white. He has political connections. That's right. That must be it. So not only do you not want to take responsibility for your own policy, you want to arm the drug dealers because you're also in league with the gun lobby, and you want to enforce financial laws against everybody because a tiny portion of the society is in the business of selling dope. So we're all guilty. The DEA is still kicking the shit out of people at airports. Do you know you can be stopped by the DEA in an airport for virtually any reason? And if you don't submit to a search, they will tackle and beat you. It just happened. A video hit the thing a couple months ago. Happened again. But you're not going to deal with the Silk Road guy. You're not going to deal with Jose Hernandez. Fuck you. This is something that the midterms is going to be decided by the economy. Okay? It's always the economy, stupid. As the old saying goes. It's always the economy. But if you want a politician that's not corrupt and not full of shit, when you get out there and you start asking questions of these candidates, will you shut down the drug war? Shut it down. It's a joke. You can't sit there and tell me that everybody with a dime bag is the worst criminals on earth and they need to go through a revolving door at prison over dime bags, but the guys who ship tons get a free pass. Flackler doesn't have to pay, at least in this round, for the damage he did with the opioid dealing. You will have your money taken away from you at a moment's notice if they could even tangentially connect you to a circumstance that may indicate drug trafficking. Again, drugs do not need to be present for them to enforce drug laws about your money, to search your bank account, to track you on the flock cameras, which they're doing. You can thank your local city council for being little bitches again. I know our city council, they're lapdogs. Whatever out-of-towner comes in, whether they're selling a tank, a spy camera, a flock camera that's basically digital databases of our movement, because there's drug dealing going on. Ooh! What the fuck does it matter when you're letting the people go on the top of the drug trade? But after he pardoned the insurrectionist, nothing surprises me. I'm not surprised that Jose Hernandez is getting a full, unquestionable pardon. I'm not surprised one bit. Not even 1%. Am I still pissed off about it? Oh yeah, I'm 100 out of 100 pissed. I'm more pissed now than I was at the judge back in the day who OR'd and Estrella Familia hitman that we caught with an AK-47. Thankfully, he was a fucking moron. He was easy to take down. He didn't realize that the AK-47 bullets go through the members only jacket, and he got caught up trying to take this member only jacket off the front sight. Meanwhile, we're sticking a 9mm in his ear, telling him that that's probably not a good idea, dude. Okay. Yeah, he gets OR'd by the judge the next morning. OR'd. Own recognizance, released on his own. That pissed me off. Because we knew who he was. What his real role was in the gangs in the valley. We knew. And we told the prosecutor that. Judge just ignored us. Okay. And those things are going to happen. Weird shit happens in court all the time. Okay. I don't lose my shit about it every time. I get upset sometimes, but it's not like I go crazy about everything. Things happen. I get it. But the stuff that's going on with the pardons, this is absolutely inexplainable. Unless you are building ties to another gang. I mean, if the Salamanca brothers from Breaking Bad were real, Trump would have already pardoned them and giving them fucking positions in the White House. That's the level of fucking corruption we're talking about. And the idiot at the beginning here. Through them all. Really? Really? Who exactly are the alls? Because I'm sure it's not white businessmen in suits. Because here's like the whole data fact about stop and frisk in New York City. You did stop and frisk in poor neighborhoods, poor black and brown neighborhoods. And you got a bunch of arrests because you just literally ignored civil rights and just started Stasiing everybody on the sidewalk. The studies show, and my own analysis shows, that if you just simply changed neighborhoods to like Manhattan, you'd have got more arrests, more warrants, better drugs. You think the stock trader in Manhattan's sitting on fucking coke that's been stepped on 9 times out of 10? 10% of it is cocaine. The rest of it is baby aspirin, B12, and other bullshit. Okay. If you'd have stopped and frisked in Manhattan, you'd have got the good coke. Because there's a difference in coke. There is a huge difference. The stuff on the street is garbage. You're paying cocaine prices for baby aspirin and B12 as the majority of the powder. Okay. And I know the difference because back in my day, like the south, down by the coast in the valley, the other valley, there was a set of pager numbers the residents knew down there if you were in the right circle of friends. And you just texted this number and they called you back and you gave them an address and they told you what to do. Okay. Now, this is a very, very, very affluent area. Even 35, 40 years ago, we're talking, $1 million plus homes and more. Okay. You could call a pager, get a call back in 5 minutes, and within 4 hours, somebody would come to your house and find the shoebox you left on the porch. Because inside that shoebox is $8,000 in cash. They pick up the shoebox you left out, Tom McCain's shoebox, and they put down the Nike shoebox. The Nike shoebox for the rich people contains 100% pure cocaine. Bolivian mountaintop powder. The real stuff. Okay. And even back in that day, we know, hey, you notice that we've never gone to that neighborhood where all the rich people live? They have more cocaine than the poor people have. Unless you're a drug gang leader, in some of the urban areas, you've never seen a kilo. You've definitely never seen a kilo that hasn't been stepped on. Okay. You could order up anything you wanted up to a kilo by pager back in the day if you were rich and white. And we knew that. And the whole thing, he's supposed to be so anti-cartel. So we got to stop all these criminals. They're bringing in the drugs. They're bringing in the crime. They're eating the dogs and the cats. Ah! Then why the fuck are you pardoning the goddamn leaders of the criminals? You're literally pardoning the kingpins. Why? Because that's the joke of the drug war to begin with. Okay? Very rarely do we get to the top of the chain. That's what kind of pisses me off about Slackler and Purdue Pharmaceutical. We got to the top of the chain of the opioid dealing. It was a corporation and a trust fund brat. We seemingly didn't care once we got there. Okay? There's a reason why guys like Tootie back in the day, nothing was in his name. His two houses were both in two different aunts' names, free and clear. Nobody could trace it back to him. Okay? He didn't handle dope. He didn't handle cash. He had people to do that. They bumped up all the money. So who did we catch? The underlings carrying the dope and the cash. Okay? It's not a system that automatically goes after the top people. Occasionally we run into them, sure, like we did with the Silk Road guy, but we pardoned him, like we did with Hernandez, the narco state terrorist from Honduras, but we pardoned him. Okay? And if we're just going to pardon people, then the drug war is fucking useless. Then we have to get into the fact of, okay, if the drug war is only being enforced against poor people and working people, and most of them aren't white, what's the real policy? What are we really doing here? And if you go back to people like Henry Anslinger at the beginning of this prohibition bullshit 100 years ago, Anslinger was an allowed, proud racist. His campaigns and his marketing, so he could gain power with a government appointment, with police powers, he would tell any crowd anything he thought he could get away with saying. We can't let the Mexicans smoke pot because they get high and rape the white women. No, they probably smoke a joint around the campfire, then, go to the bunkhouse and get some sleep so they can get up and work their ass off again the next day. This is shameful. Like, I'm literally sitting here questioning what the fuck I did with the beginning of my adult life. If the government and the people running the government end up being the fucking allies and the accessories after the fact to the largest drug smuggling and drug trafficking and gun smuggling assholes in the universe, then all the shit I did was fucking pointless. Are we going to ask the next round of politicians that come up? Because a lot of people are going to quit before the midterms. A lot of people are not going to retire. A lot of people are not going to run for office. We're going to go through a big cycle in 2026 and 2028. Huge cycle of changeover. Are we going to ask these fucking people running for office if they're going to do something real for us? Are we just going to jerk around and pretend that if you're rich and white, you can do as much dope as you want, you can traffic as much dope as you want, you can get involved in as much drug gang violence as you want? There's no problem. It's always somebody else's problem. You know, Trump is murdering fishermen. And I'm using that word specifically, murder. When you don't have the legal right to use deadly force and you use it anyways, you're committing an unlawful homicide. Okay. And if they did, in fact, shoot those survivors in the water, that is exactly what it was, a case that the British tribunals got at the end of World War II. A German boat captain did something very similar and shot survivors in the water. After World War II, we tried him on war crime charges, and a British firing squad killed him. His sentence was death by firing squad. So if now the government is openly committing crimes, human rights violations, and war crimes in the effort to enforce the drug laws, we've jumped the shark. We have totally jumped the shark. And you know what would reduce drug usage and lower the need for rehabilitation and jail cells and all that? All the things the far right hates: education, healthcare, including mental health care, jobs, a sense of security in our neighborhoods, in our society. Okay. They're devolving all of society, and then they can be like, why are those people using dope? And if you listen to Noel Castor, the comedian who used to work with Dear Leader Porn Star Humper, Noel just said it again in another podcast. Trump has been snorting Adderall and cocaine for the last 40 fucking years. So is this why is Hernandez going to get set up a delivery system for him? There's some quid pro quo here. I don't know what it is. I can't find it in the meme coin because the meme coins are a fucking disaster. Oh my God. There are so many whale attempts on those coins. It's really hard to track. But I don't think like anybody came in with like $250 million or something as a bribe or something to get the pardons. I couldn't find anything like that. But there's got to be a quid pro quo. There has to be. What is it? Because it's even though he's a total basket case with mental health and dementia issues and probably some medical issues, he almost face planted on the sidewalk outside the office, the Oval Office, the other day. I saw the video, like, nobody's going to address this? Yeah, I know. My wife and I were talking about this the other night. I know Biden was old and he was getting infirm. Yes, I know that. Trump is worse. Trump is far worse. What you wanted was Biden and the Democrats out of the way so the gang could take back over. Because a whole bunch of criminals needed pardons. I mean, the number of pardons he's handing out, including the blanket pardon of all the insurrectionists, then a blanket pardon for everybody involved in Georgia. When he made the phone call and said, find me the 11,000 votes, then people did all sorts of crimes in multiple states trying to make up the votes. Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. The Georgia cases got killed, more corruption. But the Nevada cases just got restarted. And how they're going to be how they're going to be treated going forward, they're going to be treated as a forgery case, a felonious forgery case in Nevada. And what he did in Georgia when he tried that blanket thing, he's trying to He is trying to project that he has authority to pardon people for state crimes, which he does not. Okay. Go back and read my essay that I wrote a couple of weeks ago. Trump is going to destroy local control. That's one of his goals. That's one of the stated goals of Ross Vaught. Project 2025 lead himself. They want to destroy local control. There's the White House and its grievance that will make the decisions all the way down to your local zip code. They're already telling you that. They're stomping their feet and yelling it at you. Unless you do exactly what I tell you, do it the way I tell you to do it, and have the outcome that I want, I am going to do something to you. They're bringing the crime, they're bringing the drugs. Then why the fuck are you pardoning them? Oh, that's right. This Ross guy from Silk Road, kind of rich white dude. Hernandez, politically convenient, upper echelon of Honduras. Honduras needs to go, Nicaragua style far right. I mean, this is a whole replay of Reagan in Central America, which we already know will turn into a goddamn shit show and fail. The countries that are doing what we want them to do, like Colombia, we just shat on and took away their money. And, now I can see why that so many Latinos and Hispanics on social media are so vocal about colonialism and bad history and everything else, because it looks like we're just about to repeat it, or we already repeating it. Like, who's next? Oh, did you guys hear? Side note, talk about the bullshit that's going on with the criminals. Because, Dear Leader Street Gang Leader has got to get all his homies set up. You got to take care of the homies. That's how street gangs work. You don't take care of the homies turn on you. Okay? So Trump's taking care of his homies. Okay. Doesn't that make him an accessory after the fact? Where do we go from here? Now that all the children are growing up. Alan Parsons Project. Love that band. Can we get a batch of candidates that are willing to address the corruption, stop the bullshit where obviously the drug war has a purpose? It's to keep poor people and working people down. It's to keep us scared. It's to give the ability to raid our homes, take the money out of our bank, steal our property and money out of our car while we're driving down the highway. It's targeted at us. It's not targeted at the criminals. It's targeted at everybody except the kingpins and the politicians who support them. Can we get candidates from both sides of the aisle? Maybe a few independents too. Remember, we got to think more about independents. Can we get them in there and they're like, no more funding the drug war if you're going to simply let the suspects go? Because far right wing criminals are always treated unjustly in Dear Leader's mind. Poor people need to go to prison because they're poor. Remember? We need to start shooting at the Mexicans at the fence. If they approach the fence, we need to start shooting at them because they're bringing in the crime. So I can literally pardon the fucking ringleaders. The 82nd Airborne event that Trump set up with all the rowdy NCOs screaming and yelling, "Oh yeah, we're going to invade Boston!" Yeah, okay. We're pardoning drug kingpins. The biggest drug kingpins on planet Earth are now allies of the sitting president, and we're going to use the military to attack American cities. Okay, all right. Well, how about a bunch of us traditional, conservatives and libertarians? Why don't we go? Yeah, yeah. It's more important that people make their own decisions, even if they're harmful. Why don't we just cut all the military and uh, uh, law enforcement expenditures down to the bare minimum? Because if the 82nd Airborne can only see Boston as a threat, then we don't need to fund the 82nd Airborne. If the police only think working people are the suspects in the drug war, and they're literally going to let everybody else who's got money and power and political connections walk, then we don't need to fund the law enforcement. We especially don't need to fund the drug war. The reason the fucking tanks are in every police department in this fucking country, I know some chiefs have given them up, like several chiefs in their area have literally given them back because they're like, no, they're just a distraction. They don't want to do law enforcement anymore. They want to ride around the tank and point carbines at American citizens. Can we get candidates that are willing to take the big leap and go, no, we're not going to fund this shit? And I'm telling you, we should always have a professional military. We should always have professional law enforcement. But if a gang has taken over the government and all those two entities can do is see average American citizens as the military grade problem, then we have to protect ourselves because the government trying to fight their bullshit drug war is a bigger threat than all drugs combined throughout all of history. Remember when they spent, I don't know, 25 years telling us that marijuana was the biggest problem? Then they sold opioids to people and killed 100,000 people a year. Pepperidge Farms remembers. Yep. Yeah, I know some crazier DEAs and Green Berets from back in my day. Um, I mean, a couple of the guys I knew were wired pretty tight. Um, Too tight for, an average day, never mind being in an elite paramilitary team. I'm thinking of a couple of personalities back from my early days that they'd have gone ballistic and started like threatening to whack the guy that got pardoned. Yeah. Um, and just on this topic, if you want to educate yourself a little bit, I think my phone battery's about to die. So I'll wrap it up here. If you want to know more about like what actual real cops think about the drug war, go up to the law enforcement against the prohibition, law enforcement for partnership, whatever they call themselves now. Um, there's a big diagram. I've used it in notes. I've used it in my essays before. That the drug war hurts everything, including law enforcement. It corrupts law enforcement on a regular basis. Um, so now, if we're going to corrupt law enforcement and let the kingpins go, then we should really consider dropping the drug war. Like, I wouldn't have a problem right now if we literally legalized all drugs, pulled to Portugal, because the Portugal experiment worked. Why do I think it worked? Because kids are using less drugs in Portugal ever since they legalized. Yeah. When dad and granddad both, like hitting the bong, the kids don't think it's cool anymore. It's not being edgy. So if you told me that the only enforcement's going to be at the borders, in the seaports, okay, it's better than what we're doing now. And I would actually vote for a candidate that said, yep, no more drug war inside the United States. It's not enforced at the local level. It's not enforced at the state level. It's just a border problem. And that's frankly what we should have done decades ago. Because turning the war to inside the United States was one of the biggest mistakes we've ever made. And if you don't think it's a war, it is. I mean, we literally called it back in the day the crack wars. Right? Still remember hearing the drive-bys one after another. Go to a holiday weekend, a 3-day holiday weekend, and shit, just our side of the county, never mind the big city inland, shit, a dozen drive-bys. Couple of street corner shootings. What have we accomplished? Besides corruption, besides replacing drugs with prescription drugs that killed even more people. Opioids killed more people than regular heroin. Mexican brown, you only had a couple hundred deaths per year in overdose. You are dropping 10 to 100 times that every year with opioids alone. And then what did you tell us? Because you had a lobbyist, a pharma lobbyist, from Purdue Pharmaceuticals telling you got to come up with a distraction. Weed's the problem. We just put into the morgue the 90,000 person who died on opioids this year, and you told us weed was the problem. Cannabis was the problem. Cannabis has never killed anybody in the history of fucking mankind. It's not a drug you can OD on. But we're going to tell you a lie and say that marijuana is causing all societal problems because a rich white trust fund rat is making money selling over the prescription drugs and having tens of thousands of Americans drop dead. Almost 10,000 at the height of it. We were talking about almost 10,000 people a month. But we're not going to hold that guy responsible. Nope. Now it turns out we're not going to hold the Silk Road guy responsible. We're not going to hold Central American narco state terrorists responsible. Nobody's going to be held responsible unless you're poor or working class. That's what the tank is for, to keep you under control and keep you as a slave in this fucked up system. Anyways, I've ranted enough. I'm still upset. But start thinking about talking to your candidates. When you go to a town hall, bring this up, please. You're going to literally pardon all the cartel leaders, Silk Road, and the narco state politicians from Central and South America, and literally make our lives a nightmare in the United States. That's your big win in the drug war. Ask those questions, please. Okay? And until next time, please, very, very seriously. Yeah, they just put hemp on the chopping block. Exactly what I'm speaking to. Yes. Okay. And by the way, you can't get high on hemp. You'd have to take so much. The CBD, the CBD doesn't affect me at all that much. It's great for like just relax and getting rid of some of the pain from my accident. But it's THC is what I usually use because it's much more powerful and it definitely keeps me calm and much more pain free. But yeah, they just put hemp on the chopping block. Great point. Okay. So until next time, please think about it. Please talk to your candidates. Please talk to your friends, your fellow voters, your fellow citizens. We've got to stop the madness. Think about it.